Partnerships are crucial to the growth of any business venture. Merchants and traders from time immemorial have made use of the principle of a strategic partnership to conduct their businesses. The trend is still very much applicable today. A partnership manifests itself in different forms, ranging from business owners cooperating to invest in a project to sharing technical knowledge and ideas between firms. Whatever any business does, it is important to look for the right partnership agreement that benefits both parties. And this is exactly what we are discussing in the next session: growth through partnership. And here is an interesting conversation between two people who are friends and they also have very good chemistry. First one, Mr. Murli Bukapatnam. He's the executive chairman and CEO of Voxy Technologies. He's also ex-star president Hyderabad, and joining him in conversation is the present president TI Hyderabad chapter, CMD of Control S and Cloud4 C, Mr. Sridhar Pinnapureddy.
Thank you, Akriti.
Well,
Very nice of you to welcome us. Welcome, Sridhar. It's great to have the conversation with you. It's always a pleasure. Most of the time, right? So unless you start giving me the work, so I'm going to take this conversation or kickstart this conversation a little differently, right? Given that today we are celebrating the largest Thai global summit I've attended, the largest Thai event I've attended. I think you have shattered all the records, right? I think we have more than 42 or 45,000 registrations. We had more than 20 or 25,000 people on the platform attending these events. So, given the context of partnerships, right, is partnerships critical for success? And you think that this teaches also, I mean, when you envisioned this thing, did that come about because you have succeeded in creating your business through the partnerships? Is partnership a vital part of our life?
Yes, Murli. As entrepreneurs, Thai is about startups. And as a startup, especially let's take IT industry, and if you are in a B2B space, if you want to go and sell to large corporations, every appointment is going to take weeks. Out of the 10, 20 appointments you get, probably you will get a second call from two or three if you're very lucky to land in one. And in the process, probably entire balance sheet of the company may, go completely bankrupt, because sales and marketing in IT is very, very expensive, especially if you want to do it in Western countries, developed markets like US or Europe. Now, how does one go about building a company in these kind of situations? 90% of the companies end up in losses for many, many years. People who have the financial stability can withstand that, and then if they get lucky in the process, and then slowly the growth start, or they end up serving the very small companies. Margins are very under tight pressure. So when I looked at the business of and going global, when I looked at the math, it didn't make sense to me at all. So I said, in India, we are serving many large corporations, Fortune 50. Why not talk to them? Why not build a further relationship with them and take their references and approach their global counterparts and build the relationships? And it did work. We built almost $100 million US annuity revenue in about less than 5 years with literally about 3 or 4 uh, salespeople or the relationship people, you can call them as. And we built this business on around 25 countries with.
No, there's a fantastic story, right? Sridhar, building a ARR of USD $100 million and less than 5 years. There is no joke, and it is a Herculean task. And especially, as you rightly said, it's only about 3 or 4 people who you call them as a relationship managers rather than the salespeople, right? So, like in any partnership, trust is very, very important, right? I should be able to completely blindly trust you to make you as a partner or bring you along on their sales cycle or to give you a reference of your products, right? I want to go back into the history a little bit, right? Walk down the memory lane. As I recall, you started first with the Pioneer Networks, right? And then you moved from Pioneer Networks to the controllers and now to the Cloud 4C as another baby of yours, right? I understand that you had certain challenges. Is this partnership model evolved through the lessons learned in the Pioneer Networks? Can you walk us through what were the challenges you faced in the Pioneer Networks and your story, maybe for 5 minutes? Just give us a glimpse into Sridhar Reddy's history a little bit.
Yeah, when we started, we were a we started off as an internet services company. That was my first big company, Pioneer Online, and then free internet services came. The whole business model collapsed for a while, right? Almost 10 plus companies, including the big ones, wanted shop that time. That's the time I started Pioneer Networks, which is in kind of IT consulting, e-governance solutions, and I met all the marketing pundits, and we've hired probably one of the country managers of a large IT company. He brought in another 20 odd big honcho salespeople across, and all of them are brilliant people. There's no question, there's no doubt about their abilities. And then I was on cloud nine, but after 9 months, I realized that zero sales were coming, and nothing wrong with the people. Absolutely nothing wrong. It is just that they are working on a different platform. They used to work in large MNCs before, and then here they come to a almost startup kind of a environment. And when they are working on a startup environment platform and they go about selling to large corporations, it's even though they are James Bonds, they are actually the real accomplished people, all of them. Uh, but when they go on behalf of a small company to sell IT, especially critical software for large enterprises, they are not going to entertain, or it's not going to be easy at all unless this product is highly differentiated or something that no other people have, right? Even then, it's going to be tough. The question that I used to get in those days when I walk into any large company is that, okay, Sridhar, you're bright, you're great, but what happens if you're run over by a truck? That was a real question asked. I was a bit taken aback, but that was true. What will happen? And if I put your software in my company and then we are dependent on it, how do we survive? And our losses would be into 100x. So I would rather go with a large established company, which is, um, even though it is going to be a lot more expensive or it's going to make a lot more delay, even though the quality is lower, I will still prefer a large company. Now, that's a situation almost every entrepreneur will face, right? Wherever they go. And now, those are my, learnings. That's when I was building controllers or Cloud 4C, I said, I'll tell you the controller story. Right? The when I was entering the controllers business, data centers were already established by the biggest brands of India: Tata, Reliance, Airtel,
Sifi.
all are big companies, right? Sifi was a very big company in those days, and and everybody said, Sridhar, it's a suicide mission, right? But somehow I felt that, look, data centers are still hosting websites, but data centers are going to host banks, host large corporations, do real IT, because I could see that it's so much value add for these companies that so the business made sense. But how do you get into a business which is again, it's a similar situation as software, right? They're giving their data to you to host it in your premises and manage it. And very, very critical decision, so critical that a bank, a bank manager in a small branch can give a few crores worth of loans, or take a decision. And but when it comes to the data center, even if it is much less than that amount, it has to go to the board of directors,
Correct.
chairman. Their approval is needed for such a simple, even though, because they're giving away their data. Now that's the situation. How do you when I faced this situation, it took me months to study the business. I went traveled all over the world and looked at all the data centers worldwide. And I said, because if you have to enter into this business, you got to be much better in terms of quality than these data centers, which are existing in the markets run by large companies. Not just significantly better, but also you should be able to give it significantly at a lower cost, and you should be able to be, offer much valuable services on top of the data center infrastructure.
I'm
That
going to stop you there, Sridhar, because you made three or four very important points, right? You said that you got to be different, you got to be of a low cost, you got to be of a differentiator between the value offering, right? So I'm going to turn this conversation and just say this as in a well-designed channel model, right? Multiple partners representing the same vendor, in this case, Control S, right, should be trying to win a particular opportunity, right? Albeit with a very differentiated value add, right? Because you grew to $100 million business in less than 5 years, annual recurring revenue. So all your partners should be pitching for Control as that, hey, not just they are cheap, but they're also different. And not just different, but they're different for each different partner who is pitching to the prospective customer. How did you make that happen? That is the most critical element for any entrepreneur who is trying to build a partnership, right? Because he cannot just rely on one partner, he has to rely on multiple partners. So when he has to rely on multiple partners, he should be able to offer multiple value propositions to all these partners. How did you come about that?
No, in my view, I think it's impossible to create a different kind of a value proposition for different with the same product offering. Right? It's going to be trying to build a company based on a partnership. Probably may not be the right strategy. My view is go the other way. Build
Okay.
a product, great differentiated service. Yesterday, Sri made a simple statement. When we asked him, how did you become such a big, he said, if you have a good product, he told in entrepreneur language, if you have a good product, it will go all over the world, just like that, right? So all entrepreneurs should focus on only one thing, and only one thing is build something great, build something differentiated, build something. Cost is not a parameter at all. When it comes to enterprise space, no one takes a decision because it's cheap. Everyone looks at only quality. If the quality is good, price is flipped across. That's what our customers say. Look, I mean, you give us amazing quality of service. You're flexible, and you're more agile. Your organization is customer centric, but at the same time, you would also slip in a price, just like that, a good price. This is what is my comment from one of my biggest partners, that we built with. We said that that's our DNA, right? We believe in adding value
Right.
to our customers, and it doesn't mean that we give superior quality of service that we want to demand higher prices, because even at lower prices we are extremely profitable, so we are good. That's how. So
Also, when you lower the prices, I don't think you're building the moat for the others to not compete with you. And as you, but so Sridhar, I know that partnership is what has given you the accelerated, growth, the higher brand awareness, is definitely increased your revenue, right? And yeah, as you rightly said, you are in multiple countries, which means it has given you the presence in various new markets and verticals, which any startup would die to, right? I mean, any new entrepreneur says that I want to be a global company, I want to grow like this, right? But like in a marriage, right? How you choose your prospective spouse. I think choosing a partnership, right, for your growth, who will enable you to grow, is very, very important. So I think that one of the critical element is in that selecting the partnership. And I think we do need to ask these questions like, are they ready? Are they able? That means, are they competently fit to sell your product or market your product? Do you have those similar values between you both, right? So, how did you select your first partner? How did you identify these 4 or 5 qualities in a partner?
frankly speaking, when we are talking about Fortune 50 companies as your partners, you know, there's no choice. You got to adapt to their style, because if they take you along and if you are not able to deliver, they will lose 100 times or even more times value. It's a huge risk that these companies have to take on you, to take a bet on you. So when you approach them for partnership, first of all, you are not going to be entertained at all. And if your product is good, very good, and you're differentiated and you're making sense, they may give you a small chance, some opportunity somewhere, which would probably, you may end up making a loss, which is my case, by the way. That's exactly what has happened in one of our biggest partnerships that we have done with one of the Fortune 50 companies. It took us, first 3 deals were absolutely loss-making deals. But I said that, let's win their trust. Let's solve their impossible problems, right? Where every one of their other, partners said no, they will not be able to do it. We picked up those. Basically, we picked up absolute garbage in the beginning. Whatever came, we took it in our way, because we knew that once they start working with us, once they taste the success with us, once they see the quality of service as well as the product and the people, how committed they are, once they see that, it it will start trickling. Then your reputation within that company grows. These companies have thousands of people, so everyone has to say yes for you to be accepted, and for them to take a bet on you, make plans with you, right? Then slowly that the talk about you, that you're a good partner, starts developing in that company.
But,
Then
but Sridhar, you are a Lilliput and they're a Goliath, right?
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
and what is the guarantee that they're not going to crush you? Like, see, you have discovered their pain point, you have solved to your best of your ability.
Yes.
Because you have discovered that is your growth driver, right? If you can solve their problem, that becomes your growth driver, right?
Yep.
But from a company point of view, this Goliath I, you know, now I know what he has done. I might as well crush him, right? How do you escape that pitfall? I mean, how do you protect your IP while enabling this particular partnership?
You know, faith, I mean, or trust, right? There are always, we face accidents. We trust people and they betray us. But when you are dealing with very, very large brands, they're all built upon fundamental values. Otherwise, they would never become so big. Impossible, right? So first of all, I did not have the fear of that, they are going to crush me, cheat me. No, they would leave me. They would take away my business if I am not continuously adding value to them. Very clear. Absolutely zero free lunch, right? So, as long as you're confident that you are doing something that it's not easy to replicate, it's not easy to replicate. Trust me. Once you do something, put fundamental values in it, and
Can someone check on Sridhar?
business with you, but somehow over a period of a couple of years, you build that trust. It's the same thing for any other party to enter into that space, and then your product is differentiated. For example, when we said we will work with these partners, we said we will work with them in tier 2 countries,
Right.
and, we went and established in about 25 countries. Now, is it possible to replace this infrastructure? Can they do it on their own? It'll cost them maybe twice. Do they have another partner who's equally reliable, who's delivered so many things and flexible, and why would they look for it? Also, right?
Basically, what you are saying is that no startup should be afraid or be fearful of the fact that some large corporation is going to kill them, as long as they're delivering value to to the enterprise where they are working, and they have figured out what is that unique value proposition they are delivering to the business, and where they have figured out that those are their growth values, and the value system is already in sync because of the fact that these companies have become so big because they do have a fundamental value system, and you need to get into that, right?
Absolutely.
Have
Not
you
large companies. I mean, I know I work with at least 30 of the Fortune 100.
correct?
I haven't seen one company which has no strong fundamental values, not even one.
Fantastic. So, when you're working with these kind of companies, Sridhar, have you set any goals or commitments between each other? Hey, this is what I'm going to deliver. This is what I'm committed to. This is what my goal. What is your goal? What is your commitment towards me? When do you start the discussion, or how do you start the discussion? What is the most appropriate way of doing it?
No, for me, it took every relationship. We built at least 7, 8 very large relationships out of all. And every relationship, serious discussions only started after 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Wow.
After 3 years, after doing several deals, and we never fail. Something, if we have to invest double, we have to invest and we'll deliver, right? So we'll take losses. We took losses on most of the partnerships in the first 1 2 years. We have to take a hit or not make any money, right? But after that, they see that the whole organization needs to know you, not 1 2 persons, right? In large organizations, everyone needs to know you, everyone needs to like you.
Right.
There has to be fundamental value proposition. So that it takes a long time, because massive organizations, they're not going to take they put their name, their they tag with you unless they see you for at least a couple of years.
So how does the so I understand that you're saying that family must like you in this marriage, right? It is not just the spouse; the entire family has to like you. But you are also saying that you have to absorb those losses for the first 2 years, right?
I'm not saying this was my situation.
Correct. But I mean,
Not saying that. I mean, you could be lucky. I mean, but the point is that um, uh, they will work with you only if they're. I mean, in the beginning, they'll only work with you unless they have no choice. Let me be frank here, right?
right. I mean, there's something which they are not able to do
Do
independently.
or it's it's yeah. So that's how this relationship starts. Otherwise, they will never come to you. Let's face.
Correct.
Let's
Correct.
face.
Correct.
So, I mean, and then you prove yourself. You over a period of at least a couple of years. For example, this company that we are working with, we worked with them in India for
Okay.
about 3 years, and Indian management and Asia Pac management was sold on us, right? They would want to take us global. So that's when we end up in the headquarters then we should become a global partner.
Correct.
Went there. First, it was a outright rejection. Number one. Number two, then the APAC management said, no, we need this partner, and this partner has delivered already 8 different projects with us, and we must have them. And they are the ones who are going to solve all our problems, and we deliver our numbers if we have them. They went with the force. Then they said, okay, fine, we'll look at them, and then the whole series of audits starts. For them, also, it's such a big decision.
Right.
I had to go and spend in their headquarters with my whole team for 3, 4 days. After they took a decision, okay, fine, grudgingly said, okay, fine, we'll make them a global partner. I mean, who are their other partners? IBMs, the Accentures are their other partners, right? Imagine if you have to get to that level, it's a big decision for them. So
Correct.
they would sit with us, their whole management team sits with us in their own global headquarters for 3 days, walks us through, each and every aspect of it. I mean, they will grill me in terms of what are my HR policies to, what do I think, financial status to, the quality and the technology and the processes and so on and so forth. And it took us about 8, 9 months to go through that and say, okay, we'll become a partner. Then they made us a APAC partner. And then took another 1 more year for them to say, yes, okay, fine, we'll work with you globally. Now,
That makes sense. So they've enabled your introductions, right? They've enabled you to go become successful, or they facilitated the introductions, right? But how does the entire sales support and the account management, which is very critical in this kind of a partnership models, right? So how does that sales support and account management work? Who handles that?
no, I mean, you have to do it. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, I've done it personally. I traveled all over, and I traveled the whole continent and met. After becoming the partner, every country is its own empire, right? And then
Right.
I go to each and every country, meet the local management team, and take them out to a session of a workshop with about 20, 30 people. Then I would conduct the workshop and walk them through what we do, how we have done in other regions. Then they get the confidence, and then they start working with us. Then it's a initially first 1.5 year I did that. After that, I have got one guy who took it on, and he's not a sales guy. He was working with me in corporate planning and strategy, management guy. I put in there, and then another couple of people. That's it.
So you would embed yourself into the partner sales team, help them understand the product, help them. You create a workshops for them. So you're like a train the trainer kind of a model, and then you have gone with them for the sales cycle along with them for their customers and to see how you can do that. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. You need to leverage their sales and marketing engines and pre-sales engines, and they will work with you if you have a product. That's what we are trying to do at the TIE.
Correct.
Yes. So this initiative. So now our alliance team is large. We have about 10 people in just the alliances. No,
Right.
just the relationship and all over the world. So these are all very senior vice president levels, and only relationships can be done by only those kind of people. All of them have worked for this summit, all of them, and pulled in all their contacts of the industry. They brought about 70 of such large corporations to our summit, so that it took me years to just to get these appointments in the beginning. It took me
Right.
like 5 6 years to get there, and that's what our startups today have, um, you know on a platter with
Yeah,
them.
so you're giving them the opportunity to interact with them on the platter, given them what you have gone through, yeah, the lessons which anything which pitfall point of view. See, everything what we just discussed seemed to be extremely rosy, extremely optimistic, right? Are there any gotchas? Are there any challenges which the entrepreneurs have to watch out for? What are the this thing, right?
No, sometimes they don't yield any result. You spend 2 3 years, you don't get anything, right? And you need to be prepared for.
So
Um,
that is the biggest downfall which you would look, right?
yes, yes, there will be. If you have tried 10 relationships, 2 3 would work.
Right.
Don't work, or many will work, but not scaling up. You know, so that's how it is. It's the same for us in data center business, right? This is we were talking about Cloud 4C in the relationship. Even in the data center business, it's the same. In the data center business, we work with Fortune 10 companies.
Right.
Almost 50% of our revenue comes from Fortune 10 companies. They are even more tough.
Right, right. So I heard recently, Sridhar, that there is a different model in the channel partnership or the growth via partnerships is where you go invest a certain amount of money on their sales force. Let's say, for example, a particular sales guy is costing $100,000 for the your partner company. Probably you will pick up a ticket of $25,000 or $30,000, and then you work with that company and you work with that team little bit more deeper, right, than at a suboptimal level. To just to say, is there something which you have tried out, or is that something which you experimented with?
No, we kind of discussed that. We never did that. But let me tell you, it is common, it's prevalent that this happens. But this also only happens only after the relationship is fully built.
So fully baked. So only after the relationship is fully baked. So that means you have to wait for the 2 3 year period in the horizon. You have to get it, get to know the entire family. Then probably you can say, ससुर जी मैंने मैं भी कुछ आपको लिए contribute करूंगा. That is the I guess what I'm thinking of.
But that's not a big deal. No one cares about that, right? It happens between large corporations. Sometimes they say, "Okay, fine, I'll sponsor 20 people to you." Yeah, I've seen it happen in
Right.
between the large corporations. But as a startup, if you're going, no one expects that because that's not what they're looking for. They're not looking for funding of their sales teams at all. They want when they work with you because you have something that they don't have. That's the only reason why they will work with you.
So if I have to take one takeaway from this, you are saying that concentrate on the product, right? You offer something to your potential partners where they cannot refuse to work with, and don't be afraid whether they're a Goliath or whatever. They're not there to get you, but actually they are there to help you grow. Is that what I'm hearing from the man who has built $100 million ARR in less than 5 years?
Absolutely. At least that's what has been my experience. And even though some of the companies are very strong, I mean, they have a very strong, forceful, powerful culture. Uh, Even those people, they all, who are very cost conscious, those kind of companies. So when those people know, they realize that if the partner is not profitable,
Right.
they are running a huge risk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So all my partners, the big companies, will continuously watch my health as well.
Right.
It's because you're running under, it's a massive risk for them, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
we have no choice but to take care of you. I mean, you can't bleed and work for a large company. That will never happen for a long run, right? So eventually they'll take care of. I mean, it has to fall in place, right? If your product
Right.
is good, yeah. Otherwise, the more they give you, the more bigger danger they will be.
So, because your number of partnerships are low, right? I mean, you're saying 60 major partnerships, your ticket size is huge. How friendly are you? I mean, how close do you get to know them? How socially do you know them? Or do you have a line which you are drawn between them?
Now, actually, they will invest their time to get to know you.
They
Surprisingly,
will.
in this case, yes, they would not only come to our offices, spend time with us, they would take us out for a drinks or a dinner, and build those relationships.
So they know that Sridhar is a quirky guy who just one day decided to go to Himalayas, and they understand that okay, this is the guy who I want to do business with. They understood that.
They will make sure that they know you fully well. They'll make sure.
Okay.
Yes, some companies' policies say, look, I mean, you can't spend more than $30 on a meal. Some are okay, relaxed about it. Some say, okay, I'll pay myself, you pay yourself. I've seen all kinds of relationships, but all of them will make sure that they know their partners very well. Once they start investing their time, that's when you know that there is something, you know, going to happen. Everyone spends time with you, spends a lot of time with you, actually. And not only with you or your team, they'll come to your places, spend days with your teams. Without doing that, they will not place bets.
And since whoever is managing this session have not pinged me that we are out of time, whatever, I'm going to take you another question which is out of context but still related to the partnerships. Is this one of the reasons where you have a pet peeve that you did not build enough partnerships with people like me or other time members when organizing the TGS, where you found little quirks and little challenges?
And let me be honest. Building, working for Thai Global Summit is a completely new learning experience for me. I, Thai is my first voluntary experience, voluntary organization management experience, right? Every one of you are all entrepreneurs, leaders, strong mind. They're used to doing their own way. Um, and here I am, and I'm a taskmaster. I envision things. I mean, come up with uh, unconventional ideas completely. If one thing that is common DNA with me is that I'm totally unconventional, and I would have big audacious dreams, but no dream is without action plan. And my teams know that now. Now I go and say, look, I'll give you one example. 6 months ago, I took all the employees on call. We have now over 2,000 employees. I said 70%, 80% of them are tech engineers. And I told all of them that, look, in the next 5 to 6 years, your whole jobs are going to be automated. Uh, you like it or not, that's going to happen. If not 5, 10. But we will do it. We will automate what we are doing right now in the less than 3 years. Less than 3 years. We started it anyway.
Correct. But you also build partnership with your employees so that you are taking them along into different roles and all that stuff, right?
I mean, um, absolutely. I mean, people grow with me, definitely. One thing
Correct.
it's not easy being with me, but at the same time, their intellectual thing is always challenged. and they grow much faster than the industry. Definitely, at least twice the speed of the industry. That is a given for the people. But
So I did get a red flag from the host, but Sridhar, is lovely chatting with you and a lot of insights. And for me also, I thought I will be a little nastier, but looking at you and looking what you have accomplished and with your opening statement, I couldn't be nastier. And it is what I learned from you is that don't look into short-term partnerships. You don't look for a shortcut within the partnership. You have to invest in your partnership, and the partnership will take 2 to 3 years. That is your pitfall, or that is a gotcha. You might lose money, but eventually, especially if you are going after the right partnerships, the big ones, the Goliaths, they will take you. So the another important lesson which I'm taking away is that look for the partners who have grown with value system, and if they have grown, that means they have a certain value in their DNA. Look for that value and see if that value matches with your value, and go with that value is what I got from the conversation, Sridhar. Thank you so very much for chatting with me. It is always a pleasure, and can't wait for you to come back to Hyderabad so that we can share a single malt. Thank you.
look forward.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Fantastic, chatting in front of all of you. Wherever you are, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of the Thai Global Summit.